Hey, it's Paul Ralston with UND Athletics. As we are working our way through the summer, it's time for another summer update. And to do so, we bring in Athletics Director Bill Chaves and Deputy AD Eric Martinson. Lots happening, people seeing it as they drive through campus. Let's go with facilities, Bill.
Yeah, so facilities, wow. I'm going to let really Eric take the lead on this one, but can I just say this? Campus looks awesome. It really does. And, again, kudos to our administration, to, Mike Pieper's vision in facilities, along with, Dr. Armacost, our whole VP staff. If you haven't been on our campus recently, you need to come because it's breathtaking. It really is. And hopefully we're going to add to that breathtaking.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, what we're doing from the athletic side to couple with the university and what they've done, I think it's tremendous on what we're able to see, and really putting our vision to reality has been really exciting from our master plan, and seeing the different, ways of how we can do things. We're trying to do it philanthropically with the Pollard addition, working through some public-private partnerships with our Memorial Village 1 and potentially more Memorial Village 2 with the softball field, the track and turf in between there. We have things going on at Ray Richards Golf Course, which is really exciting and really in the infancy stages of that, but that's moving forward on a vision standpoint. Things that we're doing at Bronson Field, Choice Health and Fitness, the Ralph, the Betty, things are really coming together and really taking shape, and we're really excited. It's been a busy summer, just a full of meetings and design, and we have great partners and great teammates with our architectural folks and our developers and people in facilities, and it's really been, people want to see us succeed, and it's really been fun to try to just envision it and see it come to life.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And so it's almost like when you're in these project modes, you're trying to play beat the clock in the summer, right? Like, and everything that we do, wow, you've got a short window to really do some things. And you can probably appreciate this in the world that you're in to some degree. You're trying to figure out how can you get better? How can you tweak it? But you also know once August hits, you're pretty much in game mode again. And so the other piece that we probably should discuss too is the Alara Center's going through an awesome upgrade as well, and so that's going to benefit us certainly on the football side.
For sure, a $10 million upgrade that's going through, from a roofing standpoint, the suites and renovation project that they're doing, coaches boxes, press box, that's a great facility from a community asset standpoint of concerts and events, but also game day, and we really are trying to elevate that, and they've been great teammates to really try to say, hey, how do we elevate the game day experience? And I think $10 million in that building, people are going to notice. It's going to be awesome, and I've seen some of the renovations already, and they're moving forward and fast throughout the summer. But it's exciting, to see movement, to see improvements, year after year after year with all the buildings and all the support and all the different teammates and relationships that we have. It's pretty special.
One other piece, Paul. Mm-hmm. One other piece, and Eric can talk about this one as well. Is the room we're actually recording in right now is part of I'll call it a project that was an envision by our coaches, our three programs that share the Betty, and it came to fruition based on our teammates in the foundation and some awesome donors. And so, you were front end on this room, but this is an awesome use of real estate. And these are some of the projects we're talking about when we're talking projects.
Yeah, there's a capital improvement plan that we have that, from a bigger infrastructure standpoint, but there's also projects that we say, how can it impact the student athlete experience the most? What can we do with dollars and with help from our donors and in the foundation to really make an impact? And this room is one of them where we said, hey, we have this, how do we make it better? And how do we use, dollars that we can do and do it from a project standpoint, kind of a smaller project standpoint, but make a major impact for our programs to help them succeed, in the community, in the classroom, and in competition. And I think this room is a great example of that.
The most common theme that I often overhear when it comes to University of North Dakota facilities, whether on campus, private facilities, however the partnerships work, is that the University of North Dakota has facilities that don't seem to age. And that's because there's so many people that are so adept at keeping them looking through renovation, like the Alara Center, like Ralph Engelstad Arena. Everything still looks essentially new, correct? Now, the biggest question I have, probably from fans, alumni, maybe current student athletes, and maybe future student athletes, is timetable for Memorial Village. That seems to be the one that's furthest along. timetable perhaps for addition to Pollard, which has been widely discussed. Maybe those two have the most immediate impact. Any ideas on where we're timing things out at this point?
I'm going to give Eric the timeline, but let me just give you just a little bit of a macro perspective. I agree with you. I think where our game days are tremendous, but we're talking about the day-to-days. And, you know, I think many of us, certainly that are hold University of North Dakota near and dear to their hearts, they are very well familiar with Memorial Stadium and Hislop, right? And so, but we walk into Hislop every day and we know that it has, you know, it has served. It has served its time. And so I think, and that's a day-to-day aspect of it. So those are some of the things we're dealing with at this stage.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a great facility, and those facilities are great, but we're trying to figure out what that next iteration is for athletics, and that brings us to, you know, Memorial Village and the Pollard addition and potentially some of the other spaces that we talk about. So from a timeline perspective, there's so many variables that go into it. There's so many different areas and companies and things that can happen. You know, we always say, you know, fall of 24 is a great one for Memorial Village 1, summer/fall of 24 for Memorial Village 1. And then, you know, you're going to see dirt starting to move starting in July. You're going to see some mobilization and things like that for the athletic center. We're still continuing to raise dollars for that addition, but we're going to kind of go and move in kind of two different packages for the addition to get it going. So I think you're going to see some movement there, which is exciting, and I think you could see something, you know, potentially fall winter 24 from a completion standpoint. A lot of things have to happen, and that can change, but you know, we'd love to keep rolling with those dates and to see what can happen.
And you both touched on the Betty Engelstad and this room that we're in. But is there any projects for the Betty in the future that people have to be aware of from that side of things that the fan will be noticing when they come into the Betty Engelstad Sioux Center?
Yeah, so I think with the way we're rolling with this, I'll hit macro and Eric will hit micro.
Okay.
So the macro side of it is we meet with Jody Hodgson every single week, us three. And we have a number of items on our hit parade, so to speak. But there are some things that our fan base may or may not see that our student athletes and coaches will feel it. And those are some of those projects that we're in the midst of right now. This room was one of them for sure. And then you can talk about certainly some of the other things that are occurring.
Yeah, the JJ Safransky room and the help from our gracious donors on that for this video room and team room has been awesome. But yeah, like Bill said, there's a student athlete experience, and then there's the game day experience and the fan experience, and we're trying to hit all of those together, and we're trying to move forward with a lot of that. So, you know, just even the Betty being specific, we had this video room. We just finished up the weight room, and that was a big help, and we pushed that out, and people can see that on social media, and it's just, that was a huge, you know, just upgrade that we needed to do. We're looking at doing a nutritional room for our student athletes, but you're also going to see some stuff on the north and south ends of the Betty, which is really exciting. You know, we're trying to think differently, and we're trying to say, how are fans consuming games? And the games, you know, are changing, and people, how they consume games are changing, and what do they want to see out of it? So we're trying to do some hospitality stuff, and we're trying to play with things. We're trying to think outside the box, and, you know, how do we get more people to games? How do we get people, you know, the Betty is just an amazing facility when it's rocking, and it's exciting. And, you know, so we're going to try some things, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I think we have the ability, and we have people wanting to see what can do. You know, one of the pieces of it maybe not be an actual project, but, you know, we partnered with Tamar Sales U, and we've never really had an outbound sales team before. And this is going to be a summer where they're going to start, and we're going to have some outbound sales. We're going to have some group sales. We're going to do some things that we're willing to try to figure out, hey, how do you come to game? Because we know that when you can come to a game, we know that we want you back, and we think you're going to come back. We just want to get you here. And, you know, that's no different than the Alaris Center, the Ralph Bronson Field. Like, when we can capture that, that's a special thing, and we want you back too. So it's a good deal.
So Tamar is a ticket outbound sales team. And so we had this past year combined forces with the Ralph and creating Fighting Hawk Sports Partnerships, and you've been incredibly involved in that piece of the puzzle. But this is a kind of a separate group that can help us maybe just come in every day and just think, how can we get more folks in the venues that we have at this point? And then the last thing I'll say is, you know, we're actually still in the midst of kind of cleaning up you know, the Ralph and the Betty are 20 years old, and you know, the kind of the I'll call it sports performance area in the Ralph had not been refreshed during that time frame, and with the generosity again of the Engelstadt family and foundation and Chris, that project really has come to fruition. But that was a long project because of some of the supply chain issues that we had and a number of other things. But it's some of these things are all to attract obviously the best and brightest student athletes, and obviously retain them as well.
The facilities story here at the University of North Dakota continues throughout the summer of 2023, and we'll keep you updated. Stay with us with UND Athletics and FightingHawks.com.